Here now is Jason Chaffetz. He's former Utah congressman. He is a Fox Business contributor. You knew what Ashley was talking about, right? But I figured I needed a little translation there.
Yeah, he was talking about toilet paper.
He was talking about toilet paper. Getting back to the Jimmy Carter comparison, doesn't it feel like, I mean, you're a little bit younger than I am, I think, Jason, but you can kind of remember what was happening during the Carter administration. It kind of feels like that's where we're going, doesn't it?
It does. I was a little kid when that was happening, and you had to be real strategic, and sometimes Dad had to go down and get gas, and it would take a few hours.
Yep.
And it was a terrible time. I think this is by design. I think this is what the radical left wants. They understand that if they limit supply, the consumption will go down, and they think that that is good for the planet. They don't offer solutions in time to take care of these types of challenges. I think Pete Buttigieg is in way over his head, the transportation secretary. I don't think he has a clue as to what he's doing in terms of shipping and also what we're going through in the transportation sector. But I think it's by design. And I think Biden has been very effective in actually getting what he wants, and that is to cut off our ability to produce fossil fuels.
But, Jason, there is a huge political price to pay. I mean, every time somebody goes to fill up their gas tank, I rented a car last week to go on a vacation. I was shocked. I mean, I haven't been buying regularly over the past couple of months, but I was literally shocked when I saw a price tag of $50, $60 to fill up a tank, and it was a regular sedan. I'm not talking about a big SUV. There is a political price to pay for these higher prices, right?
Yeah, we filled up our family Suburban. It was just under $100 in order to do so. There is a massive political price to pay. Of course, the Democrats didn't campaign on this, but when you have Bernie Sanders and Ed Markey and some of these, Elizabeth Warren, really helping to call the shots over there, and AOC and the like, this is what you get. And so, buyer beware. They should have recognized this when they voted for this, but this is what they voted for. They're voting for the Green New Deal, and they're implementing it at rapid pace because I think they know they think there's an arrogance where they think they're better and smarter than everybody else. And so they want to go and implement it because they know politically it's a loser for the American people. But for those elite, they think it's just fine.
No, it was exactly the same for Jimmy Carter. When he said that the energy crisis of his time was the moral equivalent to World War II, I mean, everybody just rolled their eyes. They didn't believe that. But that was a fancy phrase that came out of Harvard and with all those so-called experts that were claiming that we would run out of energy in 10 years. And that's what led to the energy. Of course, they were dead wrong because they didn't understand the potential that we have through fracking and the other things which hadn't been created yet. But Carter was a one-termer, Jason. He only served one term. Reagan came in 1980, turned this country around, gave it back to the private sector, to individual choice as opposed to government mandates. Is that where we're going? I mean, as bleak as the future looks right now, I'm kind of optimistic about a few years from now because I just don't think the vast majority of folks in the middle, the independents, the 41% of American voters who are independents who are losing faith in Joe Biden very quickly, they're not going to take it anymore.
Yeah, I think for the average American who's maybe not watching cable news day in and day out, look, they're seeing inflation. They're seeing the cost of goods. They go to the Costco's of the world, like I went to, and you can only get one thing of toilet paper. Foreign affairs is not going right. We have rapid growth in terms of homicides and other violent crimes. You got an open border. These are not popular policies, but they are the policies of the left. This is exactly what they set out to do. And I would argue that Joe Biden's actually been pretty effective over the last 9 months. It's just detrimental to our economy and to the average American.
To our economy and to our national security. I mean, you talked about the border. Yeah. Think of national security. We haven't even begun to talk about Afghanistan and what that means for our safety in the future in terms of international terrorism, getting a foothold there. I really think this is a one-term administration that we're looking at as of now, and I don't see how they can turn it around. Very quickly, is there any way, assuming that you were in the Biden brain trust, Is there any way you could turn this around, these factors that are bringing this administration down?
I don't think they're going to turn it around because they don't want to turn it around. They don't have an effective policy as it relates to China. They're not suddenly going to plug up the southern border. I think they're defund the police. They try to give some lip service to it. They're not going to change that. And they're not suddenly going to open up our future to fossil fuels.
Jason,
so
we got a hard break.
We
got to leave it at that, but I think that's political suicide. I just think it's that simple. Jason Chaffetz, it's good to see you, my friend. Thank you very much.